Change all 4 tires, fill the fuel cell, and make needed adjustments, all in 8 seconds or less.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching or however you're watching it, whether it's live or recorded. Pits are open. Your host, Will Marotti, Alex Smith, back at the Master Control Panel after some time of vacation. And we are presented by Speed Sport, your one-stop shop for all racing news, and also by Redline Ace, also one-stop shop for all racing graphics. Speedsport.com, speedsport1.com, redlineace.com. I tell you, I am so excited about this show. We've got great guests. First up, we're going to have in a few minutes the legendary racing broadcaster, also co-owner of Speed Sport, Ralph Sheheen will be our guest. Haven't had Ralph on for a while. And then a lot of you in open wheel racing have been watching the career of Jordan Missick. Jordan is currently racing in the Indy Next Series. Well, his family has started a wonderful cause foundation called Racing for Mental Health. And I got to tell you, there cannot be too many places trying to help mental health conditions in America. Mental health is it's a huge problem, has been since COVID, across age spectrum. I know as a pastor, I deal with mental health issues all the time, trying to find placement for people, trying to help people. And it's as bad as it's ever been in terms of folks having problems and trying to find folks to help. And so we're going to have Jim and Diana Missick on in the second half hour to talk about racing for mental health as a cause, and then give us a little update on Jordan's career and their experience in Indy Next. But I want to first bring this segment news. This segment's brought to you by America's Christian Credit Union. If you're looking for a smart, faith-aligned way to grow your savings, well, listen up right now. And this is cool. I'm thinking about doing it. America's Christian Credit Union is offering a 12-month certificate, highest rate in the nation, 4.75%. Limited offer, new ACCU members, deposit the limits up to $1 million, but you can get started for little as $1,000. So George, you want to get your money in ACCU at 4.75. It's only 1 year. It's called a term certificate, similar to a CD, but with a mission. So don't wait. Lock in the rate before it drops. Go to americaschristiancu.com/pits. That's the address they want you to use so they know it came from us. americaschristiancu.com/pits. Get started today. All right. We are, again, excited about our show today, excited for who's coming on. And our first guest is, he's ready. Longest motorsports, oldest motorsports publication in the country is Speed Sport. It was National Speed Sport News at one point. 1934 is when it started, and we're so grateful to be partnered with them. All of the content you see on our newsletter, 98% of the content you see on our newsletter is from Speed Sport, and we're grateful to partner with them. And so I want to welcome Ralph Sheheen, legendary broadcaster and Speed Sport co-steerer of the helm, Ralph Sheheen. Hey, Ralph.
Hi, Will. How are you today?
Good. Welcome back. Let's do, for the folks newer folks, younger folks, maybe don't know the history. Certainly not back to 1934. But, I mean, when I think of legendary broadcasters, when I was growing up, certainly Chris Economaki, one of those. I think of, Robin Miller, unfortunately, recently departed. Yeah. I think of Paul Page. I think of Bob Jenkins. I think of you, and you're still with us, thank God.
Well, thank you.
But how did, through that progression, after Chris died, I know his daughter tried to keep Speed Sport functioning, wasn't working out. How did you and Joe Tripp get involved?
Well, Joe and I worked together at Speed Channel. I've known Chris since way back when I was just PA announcing. I got to know Chris.
Wow.
I would do races at the big tracks like Laguna Seca or what was then known as Sears Point when I was a kid living in Northern California. Chris would be there, and I'd talk with him, introduce myself, that sort of thing. And then I got my first TV gig doing the Del Mar IMSA season finale in 1988. And Chris was my colleague on pit road. So my very first broadcast, yeah, on ESPN. So that was like a rookie pitching against Nolan Ryan, you know. And Chris and I had been friends. We were colleagues. I wrote a couple things for Speed Sport over the years, that sort of thing. And he talked about me in his column, which anytime you get yourself talked about in his column was a huge, huge boost. And so when he passed, Corinne, his daughter, the family didn't want to run it anymore. And Corinne was like, we're looking for somebody that could help shepherd the brand forward. So Joe and I got together with one other partner, and we basically purchased the logo, the red square, and shortened the name from National Speed Sport News to Speed Sport, because that's what everybody called it anyway.
Right.
And we figured we're not just national, we're covering everything. So this is called Speed Sport. And we took off and started producing a magazine for a while. And then we ended up buying Sprint Car Midget, because Doug Ald was done with that. He wanted out. So we purchased Sprint Car Midget from him to keep that going. And we ran that for a while too. Joe built the website up, speedsport.com. And we knew we wanted to get into television because that's where Joe and I both came from. So we started doing some packaging of productions for other networks, did a little bit of streaming. And then along the way, a friend of mine, Roger Warner, came along, who Joe knows certainly as well, because Roger started Speed Vision, which became Speed Channel and is now FS1. And Roger and I met a couple of years back at the Rolex Monterey Motorsports reunion. We ran into each other out there. He's like, hey, let's go to lunch. I said, all right. So we went to a place called Tarpey's, which if you've ever been to Laguna, it's about a quarter of a mile up the road. It's a well-known racer stop. We go to Tarpey's for lunch, and he's like, I want to start a fast channel, but I don't have the right brand, and you do. Are you interested? And I said, oh, yeah. Anything with Roger, I would be interested in. So we got together with Roger, put the thing together, and we launched Speed Sport 1 about a little over a year ago now. And here we are.
I remember at PRI when you made the announcement. I was standing right there.
Yeah, the announcement was actually
the year before that?
Well, actually, it was 2 years before that, and that's a long story because some of the platforms that we announced it in December, and some of the platforms played a little bit of gamesmanship with us a little bit and didn't exactly deliver what they said they were going to at the time. So it took us a while to get everything worked out. We lost basically a year messing around with all that. So when we finally got rolling, we were a year behind where we thought we were going to be, but we were right where we should have been a year before. We're on Sling and Amazon Prime and Fubo and Stir, the Roku channel, and a whole bunch of others. So Speed Sport 1 now has over 200 million active users a month. And it's all free. Everybody can watch for free. It's 24/7 motorsports. There's no barn find shows. There's no car restoration shows. It's all racing, green to checker every day. So I encourage everybody to go Speed Sport 1, use the numeral 1.com, and it'll list all the places we're on and how you can access it for free. Wow. And then we also launched Speed Sport 2, which is our streaming platform. That is a pay-per-view channel over here. And on that, we have over 100 affiliates that we call them, which are racetrack sanctioning bodies, promoters, that type of thing. And last year we did 2,500 live streamed motorsports events over there.
Now, I've watched Trans Am. I've watched IHRA.
Yeah, both of those are on Speed Sport 1.
I think Porsche Challenge Cup I've watched on there. What's the differentiation between Speed Sport 1 now and Speed Sport 2? Is just Speed Sport 2 is a subscription based?
Speed Sport 2 is subscription. Okay. And basically that's more about if you want to watch, like IMCA has a channel on there. So if you want to watch live as it happens, IMCA racing around the country, you can go over here and purchase that. But then we do take their races after they've run them on Speed Sport 2 live, and we re-air them on Speed Sport 1. So if you prefer to just wait and watch it over here, you can do that.
Well, I mean, that's those fast channels are really the wave of the future, aren't they? I mean, all the
Seems to
streaming
be.
services are really growing and popular, and
Well,
we watch them.
the difference is you've got two styles of streaming. They're both streaming, but you have traditional old school streaming, which is not that old really, like Speed Sport 2, where you're paying to watch, whether it's a Flow, a Dirt
Hmm.
Vision, NHRA channel, NASCAR, all that type of stuff. That's all pay per view. Speed Sport 2 is a pay per view. Then you have a fast channel, which is free ad supported streaming television, which
Hmm.
those others over here are not, but Speed Sport 1
Yes,
is.
yes. What
Yeah.
what other series are available on Speed Sport One besides what I've watched
Well,
already?
let's see. The big two, obviously, Trans Am and IHRA. We show their races live in entirety. We just showed the Rolex Monterey
Mm,
Motorsports
right.
reunion live all
Hmm.
weekend, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. So if you wanted to see the IROC reunion, for example, you could watch that live on Speed Sport One, which we're going to re-air this week.
Oh, that's so
So if you
cool.
missed it and you want to see those IROC cars all together, it's the first time in history they had all 7 generations of IROC cars on the track at the same time. It was really cool. We're going to have that re-aired this week. We did all of the Mint 400 live on our network earlier this year. We've got F1 power boats. We run sprint car races and midgets and third late models and supers. All ASA series runs on our network. We got a bunch of different things on there. You really just have to kind of go
Did
in there and
I
find
did
your
I
favorite.
read something, or was I imagining? And I saw an article that Jeff Gordon was going to do some dirt track. Is that? Have you heard that or read that? Or did I just dream that?
Well, he just did the IROC deal. He was
Okay,
just
all
at Laguna
right.
Seca this weekend and ran the
Okay,
IROC car, which was
okay,
pretty cool. It was actually the car that he drove, and it's owned by Mr. Hendrick now. And
yeah,
it
yeah,
was brought out. There was a silver Pontiac Firebird body.
yeah. I was just talking with someone who you know, and I think he put you in a couple of vintage Indy cars, Mike Lashmet,
Oh
last night.
yeah,
And apparently, Mike and Ray are going to start working together with trying to merge the IROC with Vintage Indy at same events.
yeah.
So
There's
I would think that's pretty cool.
I've been privy to some inside information on one of those, and I can tell you it's going to happen where you're going to
Okay.
see some of those guys together, and it's going to be extremely cool to see more and more of that.
And it's I keep talking to folks that are I think should be promoting this more because there's a gigantic still number of baby boomers, and like when I fell in love with racing, I fell in love with racing when I was a kid. My first professional race that Dad took me to, 1968 Trans Am at Lime Rock. First race I listened to on TV, on radio. First time I heard the Indy 500. Well, there's a lot of people my age and older that go crazy over IROC cars, vintage Indy cars.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a huge segment of the population that is marketable to those kinds of events.
yeah. I can tell you at Laguna this past weekend at the Rolex Monterey Motorsports reunion, which is arguably one of the two biggest events of that kind
Mm-hmm.
in the world, the other being Goodwood
Mm-hmm.
at the Festival of Speed. Um, it was packed. There's
Yeah.
people everywhere.
Yeah.
And the quality of the cars that were not just on display, but the quality of cars that were circulating around the track at race speed so that you can see and feel and hear those machines again was truly impressive. I
Mm.
mean, they did the 75th anniversary of Formula One out there this
Yeah.
year, and they had Ayrton Senna championship McLarens. They had Nicky Lauda championship Ferraris. They had, you name it, they're all there. All the big name drivers. They had Jackie Stewart cars, you name it, all out there. It was incredible. And
Wow.
next year is going to be a celebration of Japanese performance, which is going to be interesting because it's going to be Honda, Mazda, Toyota, so forth and so on. They're all going to bring a bunch of cars, but they're also opening it up to the motorcycle side of things. So you think about all the MotoGP bikes that are going to come and American road racing
Yeah.
machinery and maybe
Yeah.
some flat track stuff and some moto stuff. It's really going to be interesting. And we start thinking just about the Japanese cars that could be there. You obviously have the RX-7s and the prototypes that Mazda put together. You have the Nissan Zs and the prototypes that Electromotive ran. You got the Gurney Eagle Toyotas. I mean, there's the Acuras that have been out there. You got Indy cars that can come. You know, you got Richie Ginther's Honda powered Formula One machine.
F1
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that could be there that could be really pretty interesting.
Well,
a lot of modern day Formula One cars with Honda powered Toyota Indy cars.
Of course, Honda going back to F1 is going to be a big deal, I think, in 26, 27. You just got a big cheer out of our engineer, Alex, because he has an RX-7, so he likes to take that out.
I had a first-generation one when I was a kid, so I know all about them.
Cool. You know, I would love to see, and we'll probably never see, my all-time favorite driver, Mario Andretti, 69 Bronner Hawk in the Smithsonian. You'll probably never see that on a track anywhere. It's worth too much money. But I thought of you because I was looking at social media earlier today, and something popped up on my Instagram that Mario's going to be at PRI in December, and you host, and I love how you host the breakfasts at PRI. So tell us about, what do you know about that so far?
Yeah, so every year I get to host the PRI grand opening breakfast, which is a real treat. My good buddy Dave Despain did it for years. Yeah. And Dave finally retired. I mean, he is fully retired. Dave is all out.
Yeah.
And when he retired, they gave me a call, and I couldn't wait to get involved with that. And since I've done it, I've had, the first year we had the entire Don Schumacher racing team, which was Antron and Caps and Tommy Johnson and Beckman and Leah and Don himself. Then we had Roger Penske. We've had Tony Stewart. I mean, it's been pretty much a who's who. We've had Tony Kanaan. Yeah. It's been a real who's who of big name people sitting in the chair. And I was like, man, we just got done having smoke and everybody's like, gosh, who's left that we can have that really, rings the bell and gets everybody to sit up and go, wow, he's going to be there. And sure enough, they were able to pull in Mario.
I'll be there.
And we had Travis last year, Travis Pastrana, which was fantastic. And Mario, look, I'm unabashedly going to tell you straight up front, all transparency, I'm a huge Mario fan. There's all kinds of Mario stuff around over here. So I've gotten to know Mario. I consider him a friend. So it's always an honor to talk to him and to have him up there for an hour and to be able to talk about all kinds of fun stuff is going to be just incredible. So if you're a PRI member, it's free. Come on in. Make sure you get there early because the room's going to fill up fast.
And the breakfast is Thursday, right, of that weekend?
Thursday morning, and it's there's usually 3,000 people at least in that room. That's a real legit number.
Yeah,
that's a legit number. So it's pretty crazy how big it gets.
I had a laugh. Did you have, when the year you had Roger on, didn't you have Chip Ganassi also?
No, we had Doug Bowles.
Doug Bowles.
It was Doug Bowles.
Wasn't there one year you had Chip on the dais? I'm trying to think.
I haven't had Chip. Chip would be a good one to get.
It must have been something else I saw, but
yeah, he might have done it with Dave one year.
Chip's funny.
Chip would be a riot. Yeah, no, he would be good, and he's got so much going on these days. I'd like to have Zach Brown.
Yeah, Zach would have a good.
I think Zach would be great. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting people that I'd like to see on there. Still.
So tell us, Ralph. We're talking with Ralph Sheheen from Speed Sport and a lot of other things. What other series do you do regularly? Trans Am, of course. You and Adam Andretti. I got to have Adam back on the show. That was a few weeks ago. We had Adam on. What other series are you regularly broadcasting on?
Well, Trans Am's a big part of it. That's dominated my season this year. I picked up the whole year there. So with Trans Am comes SVRA, Sports Car Vintage Racing Association. So with that, there's a dozen different categories of vintage cars that you can enter in there. So some weekends, I'll get to a race at, say, Watkins Glen, and I'll call 12 races on Saturday, and I'll call 12 races on Sunday. Jeez. And that's legit. I sit down in the booth at 8 a.m. and I don't walk out of there until about 7. And it's just one after another, after another. But Trans Am in the middle one day and Trans TA2 in the middle of the next day.
Marathon.
So it's they can be pretty hectic schedules. Yeah. Then they also have 3 open wheel divisions that are part of the ladder system. getting into IndyCar these days before you get to Indy Next. So you have the Ligier Junior Formula Championship, which leads on to F4, which then goes to Formula Regional Americas, which is a fully sanctioned FIA series. So that's a pretty big deal. If you win that Formula Regional Americas championship, that pretty much lets the world know you're on your way.
Yeah.
And they pay very well. So if you win the JFC title, that's an automatic ride the next year in F4. You win F4, you go right to Formula Regional Americas. You win Formula Regional Americas, they hand you $100,000 check and say, go knock them out. Go wherever you want to go.
That's been my complaint over the years. I remember several years ago, we went out to a Mazda shootout at Phoenix at the Bob Bondurant School. And, it's nice. It's nice that they do it, but they don't really if you're going to scholarship a young driver, scholarship them to a degree that's going to help them get to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, $100,000. I mean, it doesn't go
it's
far
good.
in racing.
It's good, but
it's good, and it'll get you in the door, right? I mean, you can call an Indy Next team and say, "Hey, I've got $100,000. I can maybe round up a couple bucks more, but at least are you willing to talk at that point, right?"
Sure.
And if not that, then you could go down the IMSA road or whatever it might be. But there are opportunities to do other things. So I call all of those races as well, and then I just did the whole week in Monterey at Laguna, calling all that stuff. And then I did the Mika motorcycle auction. I do that every year. That was back in January. We've got the Open Wheel Showdown coming up with Davey Hamilton Jr.'s event.
Yep.
Out at the Bull Ring.
Well, he does a great job with that. He's a promoter, huh? Holy cow.
It is a tremendous event. He's got full fields. I mean, we got full 410 wing sprint cars on pavement. He's got the super modifieds. He's got IMCA style modifieds. He's got Legends cars running out there this year as well. It's a great event for race fans to attend, and tickets are still available for that thing. And we're going to have some of that on Speed Sport 2 and Speed Sport 1.
Oh, cool.
We're going to have a bunch of the Super Nationals from Boone as well on Speed Sport 1 and certainly on Speed Sport 2. I'm doing this weekend. How about this? So this is supposed to be my first weekend off in God knows how long. And I got a birthday on Saturday, right? So I was really thinking I get home from Monterey and I'm like, oh, finally I can just sit back and catch my breath and maybe relax, get out on the lake or something, And I get a phone call yesterday.
Hey, Ralph.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, how do you feel about going to the Lake of the Ozarks? I was like, for what? And it turns out we got a guy who's going to try to set a world record, speed record in a boat on the Lake of the Ozarks, and they want to televise it.
Wow.
So I'm going to Lake of the Ozarks.
Racing in general is dangerous, but I think the guys that drive fast boats are crazy. I mean, it's like...
It's up there.
It's like concrete. I mean, when you crash one of those things, it's like, please. Oh, my gosh, crazy.
And you got the drowning thing in there, too, right?
Yeah, there's drowning. There's water. Let me just ask you one thing.
Sure.
I mentioned this early. I think NASCAR has hurt itself over the years, and with several different things, but I think primarily with the segments. I don't think segments are pure racing. I don't like it. And now there's and I don't know if this is coming from Fox or where it's coming from, but there's some murmuring in IndyCar about the potentials of segment racing. A couple of drivers have already been outspoken to the nth degree about it. Kyle Kirkwood and Alex Palou have both been absolutely not. What's your take on segment racing, and is there a place for it in IndyCar?
I do not want segment racing in the Indy 500. That's number one, period. Tradition is tradition. Leave it alone. It's the Indy 500. It's 500 miles for a reason, and that's what we got to go do. And I want to see it run green to checker the way it always has for 100+ years. Don't change that race. It's perfect. Leave it alone, right? And that not every year is going to be great. It's just not.
Right.
I mean, that's
right. Things
sometimes the Super Bowl's a blowout.
Right,
Sometimes it's really tight.
Exactly. Right.
Sometimes my Niners win. Sometimes they don't. Right. I think segment racing, I get why NASCAR did it. They needed to shake things up. They still need to shake things up in a few ways, but I think they overshot pit road in a few ways. If you get my point there. And I think a lot of people go, well, NASCAR's doing a playoff system, so we got to do a playoff. I think that's always the case. Maybe it is going to work for NASCAR over here. NASCAR's races are way different than IndyCar races anyway. I mean, IndyCar races normally are not always 500 miles in length.
Right.
Street
right.
circuits and road courses are much shorter. And I don't think you need to go stage racing. I like IndyCar racing the way it is.
I think
I didn't have a problem with NASCAR the way it was, but
I think NASCAR hurts us. I was listening to the Bristol race. I think it was Bristol. Was it Bristol this past weekend on the Fox Sports Radio? And they're only going 128 miles an hour. It's not like it's a super speedway, and it's a small. Does the segment? I think the segment racing kills the excitement. Certainly on a short track, but again, I'm not a big NASCAR guy, but I am a cut me, I bleed IndyCar kind of guy. So
yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, Will.
Richmond this piece. That wasn't.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I mean, there's times when it pays off, right, and it can bunch the field back up, and you can have a good race from there. But ultimately, I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not a huge fan of playoff format necessarily either.
We are for football and baseball.
I cannot argue with the quality of championship battles that NASCAR has had in the last couple of years, going down to the wire, and, you go into the last race at Phoenix and you got 3 or 4 guys that are all very much have a shot at it, and you really got to see what happens. So I can't argue with that. And I will admit that part of it's been pretty good, but I guess I'm kind of old school still. But look, here's the other thing, Will. I don't think they're thinking of me when they're figuring all this stuff out, right?
No, they're not.
They're thinking about kids way back here.
Right. Well,
so probably doesn't matter what I think.
I may have to, form a protest in front of IndyCar or something.
but please, no matter what you do, Doug Bowles and IndyCar, leave the Indy 500 alone.
Yeah, that's 100% right. But hey, listen, Ralph, thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm looking forward to PRI in December. I can't wait to see you work with Mario. That's going to be so awesome.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of great questions, and one thing I can tell you is we're going to talk about everything. It's not going to be all IndyCar and Formula One. We're going to get down into the dirt, talk some midgets and champ car racing with him and all that kind of fun stuff.
Terrific. Ralph, thank you so much. Again, appreciate you. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you, and stay focused on Speed Sport 1. We appreciate everybody tuning in.
Okay, thanks a bunch. Ralph Sheheen, everybody. All right, man, speaking of Speed Sport, we're going to take a little promo here from Speed Sport on their upcoming weekend events. And then we're going to be talking about racing for mental health, which is an incredibly important topic. And I know that as a pastor, I deal with it constantly. And we'll be right back. Stay with us.
This week on Speed Sport 1, we'll have new prime cuts on Thursday starting at 6 p.m. with the stock cars. Catch the Tanner Pelster Memorial and the King of the Catwalks, followed by the latest IHRA highlights from Dorana Dragway. Friday is IMCA Racing with the Dakota Classic Modified Tour. All day Saturday, the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series will take center stage with the Dirt Super Late Models. It's free to watch. Go to speedsport1.com for details and viewing options.
All right, welcome back, everybody. A lot of you open wheel fans, and we deal mostly with open wheel, and particularly with an emphasis on IndyCar racing. A lot of you have been watching and aware of Jordan Missick, who has been working his way through the ladder series and currently racing in the Indy Next series. And so that's how I first found out about the Missick family tradition. But then I found out more recently they have started, and I think it's an amazing charity idea of how it's structured, Racing for Mental Health, using motorsports as a platform to really bring more attention to mental health. And I'll tell you, since COVID, mental health issues have skyrocketed, and I deal with it. I've been a pastor for 32 years. I deal with it all the time, and trying to find placements for folks, trying to help folks, and it's a real problem. And so I'm excited and thrilled to, for the first time, welcome to the show Jim and Diana Missick. They're the co-founders of Racing for Mental Health. There they are. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Will. How are you?
I am better than I deserve, actually. Thank you. Uh,
Thank you
you
for
got to
having
go
us.
on. You got to go into a little bit of background as to why you started this. I think Jordan had a part of that, as far as I understand the story. But why don't you guys tell us a little bit about your background and then what led to the founding of this organization?
Sure. Well, my background has been automotive my whole entire life, primarily, and started a automotive collision repair business back in 1987, and then grew that company quite large, good regional presence in the state of Illinois with up to 16 locations.
Wow.
We ended up close to 300 employees. And, with all that, that's kind of how we got introduced to racing pretty seriously, was through the paint manufacturers, DuPont specifically, which is now Exalta, which primarily is the longest running sponsor really on Jeff Gordon's car back in the day in NASCAR. And they're still currently a sponsor today. So that was my introduction to racing, really, and to just to where we're at today. And Diana would love to share the story of how we started racing for mental health.
So when Jordan was little, the teachers would write home to me and tell me that he knew everybody who was in and out of the classroom, what they were doing, how long they had been gone, and all of these things. And they were concerned that maybe he might have ADHD or something, and that I should take him to be diagnosed. So I took him to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is looking at me going, well, he looks like a normal kid to me. He goes, but the teachers should know about it. And at that point in time, it was, the teachers didn't want to diagnose because they were teachers, and the psychiatrist is like, well, the teachers see him all the time. So I was caught like in a, catch 22. It's like, so what do I do? I mean, he was our only child, and it's like, you want to be a good parent, and where do I take him? What do I do? So I found out through, just doing research and everything, I found out that I could take him somewhere, and I got him an IEP, and that all worked through school until he went to a private school. And luckily he had a great teacher there who was a former special ed teacher. Private schools don't have to fall and abide by the guidelines that a public school does. Right. So she worked great with him. She gave him as many accommodations as he could have. And later in life, when he went into college, he ran into a very good friend who had never been diagnosed with ADHD and struggled the entire time through school because he didn't have accommodations. And so he basically sat down and talked to Jordan one night and said, hey, I'm going to quit. He said, I can't take it. And so Jordan came home and talked to us and said, what can we do? And one of our taglines is, let's talk about it. It all starts with a conversation. So we were like, well, I don't know what we can do about that. And in the meantime, Jordan had started racing. And so during COVID, we started seeing our friends being affected by it because we had our little circle of friends, and that's who we hung around, as everybody did. And so we thought, well, maybe we could use his racing platform and start like Racing for Mental Health, to where people can learn about trigger points, things that set off an anxiety attack or a panic attack or some sort of a bipolar or even depression. And then they could learn coping skills as well. So at the time, we started out being just a organization where we wanted to go and talk to people and be, advocacy and educate and things like that. But we are not counselors, so we didn't have the wherewithal to do that. But that's how it all started out.
Wow. I tell people all the time, I'm not a certified counselor, but people think all pastors are counselors. So my job, I'm like an emergency room triage nurse, right? My job is stop the bleeding, get them stable, and refer them to someone who really has the training in that area. And I can tell you that since COVID, the number of folks that we're dealing with has quadrupled. I mean, there's no end to it. And the ability to find good places to point these folks to in terms of clinics or mental health professionals is really hard. I'm so proud of our daughter. Our daughter is a registered nurse, and she went back to school and got an advanced degree. Now she's a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And I hate to say it, but she won't have any shortage of patients. There's plenty of folks out there that need help. So how long has the organization been operating at this point, Racing for Mental Health?
So we started it at COVID was like 2 years. We started it like right in the middle of COVID, and to become authorized and an authorized charity and to have all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed took us about a year and a half because the government shut down. So you can't get your IRS, tax, whatever number and all that, because it was just, it took them 6 months to return our calls and to get to be compliant. So we started probably 3 years ago, but we've really been up and rolling for the last 2 years and a half.
I don't know IRS law other than for churches. So our church is a 501c3. Does your organization fall in that same category?
Yes, we are a 501c3 charity.
When I send a donation to you, I can legitimately claim that on my taxes as a charitable donation. Okay, that's the big thing, folks. Is the 501c3 gives you the ability to give your donors receipts, and then your donors can claim those on their taxes without any problem. How have you been received? Do you think so far early with the racing community, as you're calling it, Racing for Mental Health, and Jordan's Racing? How has the foundation and you guys as the co-founders? How have you been received so far?
It's been really arms wide open, quite honestly. I mean, we have some really fantastic board members that have come on board that are from the racing community, like Gavin Ward. He is one of our key ones, who obviously is a Formula One champion from a team, as well as was with Arrow McLaren, but has decided just to kind of take this year off to decide what his next chapter is going to be. We also have Chris Wheeler, with Chip Ganassi Racing, who also has a story and is passionate about helping people and bringing awareness to it and just normalizing the conversation. There's several others within the racing community, and there's several others that are not in the racing community that are involved. We welcome people to go visit the website. It's racingformentalhealth.com. And you'll see everything that we're doing. And because we don't have enough time here today to talk about everything that we're doing, but we can hit the highlights. But it's really, really been very eye-opening as well as welcoming, because you start talking to people, Will, and you know this, everybody has a story and everybody's affected by it. And the paddock has a lot of depression, a tremendous amount of anxiety because there's so much pressure on them. And they just want somebody to be able to talk to and listen to them and just realize that they share some of the same feelings that everybody else shares and is experiencing. So it's not uncommon.
Racing, as you know, is an incredibly difficult sport to break into, to stay in, to be competitive. And I've within the last few days, I've talked to people in racing that are, and I can relate to it because most of my adult life, I struggled with depression. And I was able to understand it, find out why it's happening, and I'm as good as I've ever been with it. And I don't keep that. I don't hide that from people, because when I'm able to say I've struggled with depression, people will undoubtedly, they'll come to me and say, oh, I do too. And so within the last couple of days, I have 2 conversations with people in motorsports that they're very depressed because of things that are happening around them in the industry that, out of their control, nothing they can do. And so I'm thinking, man, what a great platform to be able to offer help and encouragement. And again, I think, Diana, you said it, I think you've got to take the stigma away from certain things, depression, ADHD, those kinds of things, to let people know it's okay. It's okay to seek help. It's okay to talk about it. You're not a bad person. You shouldn't be ashamed. You shouldn't be embarrassed by it. It's just, if you get a cold, you get medicine. I mean, that's why God gives us medicine. So a lot of these things, bipolar, we have medications that can help with those kinds of things, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. So I think what you're doing is fabulous. I mean, how are you getting the message out about Racing for Mental Health?
So to what you had just said, there is no health without mental health. That is where it first starts.
Right.
And getting the message out, we are my main goal now that we're up and running and we have a fabulous board that's solid. We have just opened an office in downtown Joliet at 54 North Ottawa Street, and we. Is
that where the Blues Brothers are from?
Joliet. That's our claim to fame. That in prison.
I just had to say it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's ironic. 40 years this month. That movie came out 40 years ago.
Is it really? Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
So we've partnered with a nationwide company called Mindful Living Centers, and they provide services for us. And they have a wraparound care to where they're not just throwing therapy at it. They provide therapy. They provide if someone, because a lot of times mental health wellness comes from a mental health issue, but it also comes from a mental crisis. Like I don't have housing, I don't have a vehicle or whatever. So they will, if you need to fill out an application, they'll go with you and fill the application out. You need to go to a doctor, they'll get you to the doctor. They'll help you, the whole person, not just, the mind. So that's helped us a lot. But what we're doing right now and what my main goal is in the off season is to get materials and go directly to every team that's in the paddock, to go to every principal in the team, to show them the statistics, to show them how they can help not only their drivers, but themselves, their teams, their everybody that works on the team, from the hauler driver, to where I get a sticker that I have them put on every one of their cars that says Racing for Mental Health. It's small, it's not obnoxious, it doesn't blow in your face. But I want all the teams to know that they have a principal or they have someone there, even if it's IndyCar Ministries, that they can, if they have any issues, that they can go and have someone to talk to. And that is my goal, is to have it on every car in the paddock.
Well, and I'm fairly good friends with IndyCar Ministries. I've known for a long time, and that's wonderful. Yep. But sometimes people are a little, and I know, I run into it all the time, people are a little resistant to religious kinds of things. So it's good to have that, but it's also good to have non-religious mental health assistance as well. So that's really
we're
cool.
Still looking for one of those if you're interested.
I am.
Okay.
So you think about it. I mean, mental health or lack thereof affects everything. Certainly in a driver. Oh my gosh, talking about affecting performance, or somebody on your pit crew, or somebody in a technical part. Acquiring data. I mean, mental health is so important. And when you talk about ADHD, talk about depression. I mean, it can tank a person and really affect how they're functioning in life, whether it's baseball, racing, or accounting, right? So it's broad based. How is Jordan with his ADHD? Is he pretty good now with recognizing stuff like that? And how does that work?
As long as he's in a race car and going fast.
he's very good with it, actually. There's studies out there to where ADHD people are some of the best race car drivers out there, because they can take in so much information and process it so fast and see the difference between it. And you brought up a point earlier that I'd like to kind of hit home a little bit, is that people that are in the paddock, and we want to start it with the IndyCar paddock, and then obviously take it to other racing environments and spread it around. But normalizing the conversation gives that person the opportunity to feel more comfortable and to reach out and talk to your boss or whatnot, or have conferences within the team to start talking about mental health and whatnot. Because even though people might have problems, you can get them help, and they will become a much better, loyal employee and become 10 times more efficient. So there is a complete upside to it if you approach it the right way and have an open mind, to where they're just not in the gutter and they're never going to get out. People can be cured. I mean, there are statistics out there that it does get into 1 in every 4 people. That's pretty high. You start talking about suicide rate. I mean, there's a suicide every 11 minutes. That's just way too high for that to happen. And if we can save 1 or 2, then we're doing our job.
I mean, I struggle. I didn't know I was struggling with depression when I was a teenager. I was a young adult. But I'll tell you, when I got into my young adult years, I would get into pretty dark places. And it wasn't for an afternoon. I mean, I would sometimes be stuck there for a couple of weeks. Wow. And then finally, long story, but finally really got a sense and a handle what's happening. So now I can actually bodily feel if depression's knocking on my door. And it's not 2 weeks, it's a couple of hours. I've got the coping skills now. I know what to do, and I can head it off at the pass, But it takes time to learn that, and you need some guidance, and you need some counseling. And so what you guys are doing, fabulous. Do you do any kind of like All right, I'll tell you. I was at where was I? I was in Indianapolis, and I went to some show, some memorabilia show that was, a half an hour from Indy, and I'm walking around, and son of a gun, I see one of your stickers on a table. I'm like, I know who that is. And it was, I don't want to say her name in case I shouldn't reveal who it is, but it was a racing personality was working with you. I'm sure she still is. And I was like, well, that's so cool. And I immediately had an identification with it because I know this, so it was kind of neat. What other kind of events do you do, or how are you? Do you ever have any fundraisers, or what kinds of things are you guys doing?
We're actually putting on a fundraiser September 24th here at the Audubon. And it's going to be Drive to Thrive.
Cool.
Yeah. It's going to be It's going to be called Drive to Thrive, and it's a fundraiser. It's a 90-minute karting enduro to where we have teams between 4 and 8 people, and they jump in and out of the cart, and they take laps around. They decide how many laps they want to do or whatever, and then we have an awards ceremony afterwards and a little bit of a food and beverage, and it takes about 4 hours, and we've done it before, and it's worked out really well, and people can make donations, or they can put a team together. If they go to racingformentalhealth.com, they can look it up and find out more about it.
It's a fun event.
Pretty cool.
Very fun. And to your last point, doesn't it feel enlightening to know that you now can control that rather than having it control you?
Oh gosh. It's
so freeing.
It's like night and day.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to make of it when I was young. And I just I was immobilized.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. I'd had all I could do to go to my job. Everything was a struggle, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. Isolation was a huge problem. Well, now I'm free to share that with people because I know that I can help them. I know that there's pathways around that, right? So we just had Ralph Shaheen on, and I'm excited because they announced today that PRI, the Performance Racing Industry event that happens in December, they're highlighting Mario Andretti. And so I can't wait to go to the breakfast because Ralph's going to interview Mario, and I'm a huge Mario fan. So do you guys have a presence at places like PRI or SEMA, those kind of events? What have you done that yet?
Not as of yet.
Okay.
We have had a presence at like the memorabilia show and a couple others. So, we're having boots on the ground, and it's been challenging to find the right people to come into place to be able to have the time to be able to do that. And it's our intention to do that. I will put it out there that part of this fundraiser is to raise funds so that we can bring on the correct executive director for Racing for Mental Health. We are on the search for that right person. So,
really?
Yes, we are.
What are some of the requirements?
It's about a 4-page list, But it's requirements of anybody that would manage something, and people and whatnot. But I just want to put it out there in case any of your listeners.
You never know. People want
it all starts with the conversation.
Right.
So let's pause for a moment and let's talk about Jordan. Jordan's working his way through the IndyCar ladder system. He's is he working with Abel this year? Abel, yeah. Okay. Well, great team. John Bruner, love guy, wonderful man. How's Jordan doing? I think I saw a 9th place a week or two ago. A couple of weeks ago, there was a 9th place, and he's getting in the top 10 more often. So he's working his way up. How is that going? And what are the plans? Are there any plans for the future?
He's worked his way up through the ladder system. Jordan's story is, he started at a much older age than most of the people. And, being an Audubon members has allowed him to really excel learning the trade. But, his inaugural year for full complete year in Indy Next with Abel Motorsports, piloting the number 48, has been very good. He's in the top 10 in points. And he's had as high as a 6th place finish. His last finish was at Portland at 8th place, and he likes oval. So we're entering Milwaukee Mile next weekend, and
Nashville,
then Nashville.
Very good.
And
It's surprising though, because most people that come up through formula ranks don't like ovals. If you got a sprint car driver or a midget driver, or they like ovals. So usually when you take a formula guy who doesn't run ovals and put him on an oval, it's generally a frightening experience. But it's good to hear he likes ovals. I like that.
He likes ovals because he was brought up around NASCAR pretty much his whole life. I'm surprised he didn't want to go the NASCAR route. Quite honest.
Well, I'm glad he didn't.
So. But we're having a blast by doing it. And, the message that we're trying to work for, is giving us a lot to do, a lot more than we ever anticipated. But we're truly enjoying it.
Good. Anything else you guys would like to share about Racing for Mental Health? Again, give us the website address and tell us how we can donate.
So it's racingformentalhealth.com. And we have a page, there's a donate page, but there's also a page dedicated to the event itself. You can sign up as a team, and we're setting it up right now to where you'll have a private portal. Each team will have a private portal to where they can go and they can make their donations. Or you can just donate to the charity itself, or come in and go on, sign yourself up for our newsletter. And I think we've got our email addresses on there too. If somebody just wants to donate, we can give you an address to send it to.
Okay.
There's many different ways that you can donate.
And tell us about the fundraiser event that you have coming up again. When is it? Where is it?
So it's called the Drive to Thrive. It's on September 24th. It's between 1 and 4 p.m. and it's at the Audubon Country Club, 3795 Center Point Way. The information is again on the website, and anybody can call for additional information. There's teams of 4 to 8 that will participate, and it's a karting enduro, so it's fast moving. I will mention that it's $1,000 donation to join, to register your team.
Sure.
And then the teams are minimally expected to raise at least $5,000.
Okay.
Including the 1,000.
Sure.
So, but you can raise more than that, because if you raise more than that, the incentive is you get pole position. And then it goes on down the field, depending on how much money you've raised. We'll take any and all donations. We have sponsorships available too. That's on the website. But it's a fun event and it's for a great cause.
Man, it's a good thing we don't run IndyCar that way, because Penske cars will be on a pole every race. It's
You think?
I can let a little bit of information out of the bag too. Is that while this event's going on, Indy Next is going to be doing their rookie test at the Audubon. So there will be the cars are on the track.
That's cool. Wow.
So Jordan's car will be there.
So Jordan's car will be there on display, even though he will not be on track.
And we're going to do pictures and everything. So if anybody wants to stop in and make a donation, we'll take pictures and.
That sounds like a lot of fun. That's going to be good. All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much. Jim and Diana Missick, thank you so much for coming on. It's an honor to have you guys, and we're behind you. We love what you're doing. We'll make a donation, and we'll have you on again sometime, hopefully. That'll be really nice. Give us some reports on the progress. So thank you.
Sounds really well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
God bless you guys. Thank you. Okay.
Yes,
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. We are done. Good show today, Alex. Ralph Shaheen, of course, is always a popular guest, and it was good to have Jim and Diana on. So, as you know, mental health is a real issue in our country, and again, mental health racingformentalhealth.com is that website. America's Christian Credit Union, America's Christian CU /Pitts.com. Speedsport1.com, Speedsport2.com, Speedsport.com, and RedlineAce.com. And I think next week, finally, we're going to have another sponsor announcement. We've been keeping it under wraps for a few weeks, and I think we're going to have a special guest on next week and tell you about another sponsor of the Pitzer Open. So if you'd like to be a segment sponsor, or we're still looking for a title sponsor, you can email me at will@MarautiAutosport.com. And we'd love to have you be a part of that. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks, Alex, George. Thanks for sitting in today. Right after this, we'll be taking a few-minute break, and then I will be co-hosting Race Central Unplugged with the one and only Kurt Hansen. And that'll be on Race Central Facebook, Race Central YouTube. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm looking forward to being with Kurt Hansen in a few minutes. So stay with us. Thanks, guys.